Pues someterlo ahí en la esquina delante de Khabib, que son tan chulos y arrogantes que la verdad que me encantaría ahí someterlo delante de él. Y si después quiere pasar Khabib, también le piso la cabeza con mucho gusto. Siendo lo que han dicho, se han sentado en una mesa y ¿sabe lo que han dicho? Que le den por Arman. Así que Arman, desde aquí que te den por el culo desde miles de kilómetros y juzgarme y criticarme, pero después cuando me tienes en ese octógono te empiezas a dar cuenta de que yo no soy Jack de la Magdalena, que yo no soy Dan Hooker, que yo no soy todos esos paquetes a los que te has enfrentado anteriormente.
Ilia Topuria might not be fighting for the next 5 to 6 months due to personal issues, but he isn't stopping from trash talking. The lightweight champion took aim at both Islam and Arman in a recent interview. Ilia Topuria presents himself as confident that he can beat Islam Makhachev in every area and submit him in front of Khabib. He says his ground game is a major strength and believes this is the kind of fight fans want to see. He talks about hurting Islam on the feet first, then finishing him with a submission, even if it happens in front of Khabib, making it clear he has no fear of anyone involved.
Islam even wants that smoke, brushing off critics talking from couches and keyboards thousands of miles away. Once that cage door locks, he says the comparisons die. He's not JDM, he's not Dan Hooker, he's not those past packages, and when that right hand lands, somebody is going to sleep for a very long time, maybe sooner than anyone expects.
And is fully prepared to dominate the moment.
Tengo la sensación de que olvidan un poco cuál es su base. Perdóname, pero yo siempre digo que eres un grappler y te pido por favor que no me digas completo y me gustaría preguntarte cuál es tu punto fuerte realmente.
A ver, yo considero que mi punto fuerte es el suelo. Yo considero que en el suelo me puedo desenvolver en cualquier manera, que puedo sacarte una finalización de cualquier posición. Pero sí que es verdad que últimamente he aceptado que no es lo que el público quiere ver tanto, aunque con Islam tal vez sea algo que el público quiera ver, ¿no? Dominarlo de pie, darle sus 3-4 manos en el punto que le tenga que dar y después someterlo ahí en la esquina delante de Khabib, que son tan chulos y arrogantes que la verdad que me encantaría ahí someterlo delante de él. Y si después quiere pasar Khabib, también le piso la cabeza con mucho gusto.
Frames himself as a completely different challenge than anyone Islam Makhachev has faced before. He suggests the fight is one fans clearly want, but questions Islam's willingness to accept it, brushing off criticism that comes from a distance. Topuria emphasizes that once they are locked inside the octagon, comparisons to fighters like JDM or Dan Hooker no longer apply, positioning himself as a far more dangerous test with fight-ending power.
One wrong zig instead of a zag. That's how champions fall, and he's already seen it happen once, which makes...
Cuando defienda mi título en 155 libras, veremos a ver. Ya no quiero seguir haciendo predicciones acerca de nadie porque todo el mundo habla muchísimo con el teclado, todo el mundo quiere brillar, todo el mundo tiene mucha valentía, mucho coraje, pero cuando llega la hora de la verdad no es así. Y todo el mundo sabe que es un combate que quiere verlo todo el mundo y él por alguna razón hasta ahora no lo ha aceptado y después habla demasiado. Es muy fácil hablar desde miles de kilómetros y juzgarme y criticarme, pero después cuando me tienes en ese octógono te empiezas a dar cuenta de que yo no soy Jack de la Magdalena, que yo no soy Dan Hooker, que yo no soy todos esos paquetes a los que te has enfrentado anteriormente. Yo soy algo muy diferente y cuando te ponga mi mano derecha encima vas a ver que vas a tener un sueño muy, muy largo.
GSP breaks down the blueprint, and it's brutal. You don't beat Islam by avoiding him. You beat him by matching him everywhere and refusing to drown. He points to Islam's early fight with Mansur Barnawai, a man who defended takedowns, scrambled up, stayed dangerous on the feet, and quietly proved Islam can be pushed. That fight is the hidden tape nobody talks about, and it shows exactly where the cracks might form if the right man applies pressure non-stop.
Move is how he can be beaten.
What would be your game plan to go against Islam Makhachev? Like, what would you do right now to beat him? Because like everyone, is he just too good right now? Or like, what would you do?
I think right now he's probably on paper the best fighter.
Yeah.
Probably pound for pound beat Islam Makhachev. It doesn't mean, it's not because you're the best that you're not gonna lose. It's not the best fighter that wins the fight. It's not the best team that wins the game. It's the team that play the best the night of the game. Same thing in fighting. People for some reason believe that fighting is different. Always the strongest man that wins. Not true. If you zig when you should have zagged, you make a mistake, boom,
Cut.
you're cut. By the way, it happened to Islam Makhachev. If you saw his
Early
loss, he got cut. Yeah, it could happen again. I believe if he would fight that guy 10 times out of 10 times, he would probably beat him 9 times, but that one time he got clipped, and that can happen.
Then Topuria turns and laughs at the idea that he's scared of Arman Tsarukyan, and the sarcasm cuts deeper than insults. He frames Arman as a guy who had golden chances and blinked, implying real fighters push through pain instead of pulling out. The message is clear and cold, toughness matters, and in Ilia's eyes, Arman failed that test when it counted most.
However, George
To beat Islam Makhachev, he's very skilled. I think you would need a guy that can match his wrestling in a way that either to counter his takedown, or if he get put down, manage to scramble back up and create distance and also fight him standing up. I think you need a guy that put pressure on him with a lot of fakes and feints. There's a guy that gave him a lot of trouble. He was from France. He was one of my training partner. If you go and check that fight online, his name was Mansour Barnoui. He was one of my best training partner when I was getting ready for fights, and he gave him a lot of trouble. And it was in Makhachev early career, but if you look at this fight, it could have gone the other way as well. It went to decision. And the way Mansour Barnoui fought Makhachev, that's the way you need to fight. A lot of pressure, create a lot of scramble, and pressure.
You gotta catch him off guard.
Yes, flying knees, stuff like that, like doing stuff like that are crazy.
Saint-Pierre says Islam Makhachev is, on paper, the best pound-for-pound fighter right now. However, he explains that being the best does not guarantee victory. He compares fighting to team sports, saying the winner is not always the best team, but the one that performs best on the night. GSP believes mistakes can always happen in a fight, and even a dominant fighter can get caught. In his view, Islam would likely win most of the time, but that one moment where he makes a wrong.
Quería preguntarte directamente, toda la gente dice que tienes miedo de Arman y te tengo que preguntar por eso.
Bueno, al final ya sabes lo que pienso sobre la opinión de los demás. Arman, bueno, es un buen luchador, ha tenido sus oportunidades en las que se ha negado a competir, ha tenido su oportunidad de pelear por el campeonato del mundo, se ha retirado del combate. Todos los luchadores hemos enfrentado dolores de espalda, dolores de brazo, de pierna, de todo, y aún así nos hemos presentado en el combate. Él por alguna razón no. Y él sabe cuál ha sido esa conversación interna. Tal vez se ha tenido que cambiar los calzones después de tomar esa decisión.
Paddy Pimblett piles on and says nobody should be shocked. Arman got skipped because this isn't about skill anymore, it's about reliability. He lists pulled fights, backstage incidents, blown opportunities, and says at the top of the sport, professionalism is non-negotiable. You can hear it in his voice. Talent gets you noticed, but discipline gets you title shots. And Arman burned to...
Si yo ahora te hablo como promotor, darle la oportunidad a una persona que le das una promoción tan grande, inviertes tanto dinero para promocionarlo de esa forma, ponerlo en una cartelera tan grande para que te lo juegue de esa manera, es muy complicado volver a depositarle confianza. Después ha tenido como otro combate ahora estelar en la que le ha metido un cabezazo en un careo. Es como que no demuestra mucha inteligencia, tampoco demuestra como que el cariño que le está dando la UFC en sus promociones, porque lo que no entiende es que la gente está invirtiendo dinero para promocionarlo y él con un simple cabezazo está poniendo en riesgo todo ello, porque el contrincante puede recibir un corte, un daño innecesario y el combate pudiera llegar a caerse, ¿verdad?
Then Jorge Masvidal flips the script and backs Arman, saying he's being unfairly stalled despite being one of the division's killers. Masvidal says the solution is simple: keep smashing top guys until denial becomes impossible. He even throws out the real super fight of the future, Arman versus Ilia, a collision course that
placing it with open hostility.
Cuando tú ves que tienes una persona enfrente a la que le estás dando cariño, en la que estás invirtiendo el dinero que realmente te está devolviendo las cosas de esa manera, al final tú le seguirías dando cariño.
No.
Bueno, pues eso es lo que están haciendo. Lo que han dicho, se han sentado en una mesa y ¿sabe lo que han dicho? Que le den por el culo a Arman. Así que Arman, desde aquí, que te den por el culo.
Just when things couldn't get messier, Chael Sonnen drops a nuclear take and says Ilia should be stripped. He argues interim belts are for injuries only, not delays, not circumstances, not explanations without proof. Even Chael admits it sounds cold, but says history proves
Georges
fighters
St-Pierre
lie,
explains
stall,
that
and
the
dodge,
only real way
without
to beat
medical
Islam
receipts.
Makhachev is just as much as talent.
I mean, I don't expect you to have any sympathy for Arman Sarukian, but you know, were you surprised that you could make this interim title without him in it?
No, he's bored. Don't really know anyone who wants to see Arman Sarukian fight. I listed so many reasons why he hasn't got this title shot in an interview the other week. Pulled out on a day's notice when he said he had a bad back when he never. He just couldn't make weight to ruin the main event. Punched the fan walking out of the cage. Probably cost the UFC a lot more money. Nearly ruined another main event for the first fight in Qatar by headbutting Dan Hooker. Just don't be a little spoiled brat and you might end up getting in good graces.
Is by
Chael
matching
doubles
him in
down and says
wrestling
he
and
likes
staying
Ilia,
competitive
believes
everywhere.
it, and
He
still
points to
thinks the
Islam's
belt has
early
to go.
fight with his
He says
former
rules
training
don't bend
partner,
for good
Mansour
guys, and
Barnawi,
unless there's
saying
an injury
Barnawi was
claim
able
backed
to give
by
him
paper,
serious
stripping
problems
is
by
the
defending
logical
takedowns,
outcome.
scrambling
That's the
back
kind
to
of
his
logic
feet,
that
and
keeps
still
promotions
threatening on the
running,
feet.
but turns
In
fan
GSP's
bases
view,
It's his own fault, lad. It's his own family's fault for letting him be a spoiled little baby his whole life, lad, because he's got money. You know what I mean? He thinks that he can just like pay his way out of anything. Well, nah, lad, you got told you've got to work your way back to the title. And beating Dan Hooker, who can't grapple to save his life, doesn't do that. You know what I mean? But it is funny because he's left out in the cold now because Charles is fighting Max and I'm fighting Justin. And like, the next person down the rankings is Dan Hooker, who he's just beat. You know what I mean? He's going to have to rematch Gamrot or something and try and beat Gamrot. Because for now, nobody gives a flying about Arman Sarukian. It's not my fault Arman Sarukian's an absolute sausage.
No, it's not.
You know what
It's
I mean?
not.
It's not my fault he can't control his emotions and start headbutting people at weigh-ins and pulling out the night before fights and hitting fans when he's walking out. That's not on me, that's on him. And he knows why he's not fighting for the belt. He needs to stop about it.
that
Meanwhile,
fight shows
Islam
the
is ready to
exact
fight
blueprint
anyone,
needed
but
to
his
challenge
eyes are locked
Makhachev
on
successfully.
Kamaru Usman, and that choice alone raises eyebrows. Henry Cejudo says Usman is dangerous because he's hard to take down and carries a lethal one too. Islam has been hurt before, and Cejudo reminds everyone that the punches you don't see are the ones that end legacies.
Like Arman should have been way over Gagey, and I feel like Arman should be way over Patty, you know, but he doesn't have that hiccup. So what does he do? Does he sit out? Or does he go out there and make his case? Get another one of these top 5 guys, Arman, I say, take their head off because there's nobody there that could beat him.
Luke
And
Rockhold jumps
keep him
in
moving,
and says
brother.
Islam
Then they can't deny,
exposes
you know,
the
I think
fake
he has to
elite
go out there
grapplers
just beat somebody
instantly.
else, and not
He
even
claims
Dana
guys
White could
look
say,
world
no, I'm not
class
giving
until
this guy a
Islam
title shot.
gets on
After
top
that,
of them,
there's
and
no
the
way,
difference
you know.
becomes
And the fight to
embarrassing.
see in
According to
2026
Rockhold, that's
is
when you
Arman
see who
versus
has
Ilia.
real
Those are the
substance
best
and who
guys
just
at
survives on
155 pounds right
reputation.
now. Let's
Israel Adesanya adds another layer, praising Islam's feints as next level. He points out how Islam manipulates reactions, feinting over and over until opponents freeze. That patience, that control, that striking IQ most fighters never develop, and it's why rushing Islam is a death sentence.
So merely claiming unavailability isn't enough.
The interim belt is for those that are dealing with an illness or an injury. If we would like to show grace to an undisputed champion because he's missing matches specifically for illness or injury, and the moment Ilia informs us that he is missing matches for anything outside of the criteria of illness or injury, that's why you strip him. That there is no precedence for an interim championship. And I had never thought of that, and I thought it was very cold. I didn't like it. I got in my car, I went back to my hotel, I'm staying by myself, and I thought about it. And I go, man, there's actually a point to that. If Ilia is missing matches, and all he's got to do is make the claim. He doesn't have to be telling the truth. A lot of guys didn't tell the truth. A lot of guys have missed fights and said they're hurt because they didn't want to make the walk.
Then Manny Gambarian digs into the past and drops a technical bomb, saying Islam didn't out-wrestle Arman, he out-judoed him. He claims every takedown came from trips and throws, not shots, exposing a specific gap. If Arman ever gets that rematch, Manny says judo is the adjustment, and that detail could quietly decide everything.
But if you're making a claim outside of illness or injury, to my understanding, the person at the UFC is correct. You're not eligible. You got to be stripped. I think that is a fair point. I don't want him stripped. I'm on Ilia's side of this. I don't really like what he's going through. I think he shared more with us than he has to. I also think he's innocent. He seems like a good guy. I really don't think that he would have done these things. However, yeah, they got to strip him. If he's not making the claim that he's injured and has some kind of a doctor report to back it up, as bogus as those can be, he's got to be stripped.
Bilal Muhammad throws shade by saying Islam and his manager are hunting an easier matchup with Usman. He argues other contenders earned shots, but politics and shared management shifted the narrative. According to Bilal, seeds are being planted, paths are being chosen, and not everyone agrees it's fair or earned.
And completely change a fight.
Kamaru does have the stylistic matchup to not get taken down, and then he's got a beautiful one too. And that's all it takes in the sport of mixed martial arts. Bop, bop. You know what I'm saying? And Islam has been hurt the time that he did lose. He did get knocked out. So it's those punches that you don't see coming that could change everything. And Kamaru Usman has the speed and has the power and has the experience. But he's going up against Islam Makhachev, who is, he's good, man. He can kick, he can wrestle, he could, that's the biggest thing, bro, is it's his defense. He's always here, and then he level changes, and he kicks, goes up. Very, very good. But you would probably favor Islam, but I would not count out the Nigerian Nightmare. If anybody could get it done, it is Kamaru Usman.
Masvidal circles back and says Usman is the toughest possible fight for Islam at welterweight. He calls Usman bigger, stronger, longer, better defensively, and more seasoned in long wars. He even questions whether taking that risk is smart at all, because one bad night against Usman could rewrite everything.
Like, you think everyone thinks Charles Oliveira is good until Islam gets on top of him, right? Charles Oliveira sucks comparably to real good grapplers. He's not even near.
He's more of a strictly jiu-jitsu
guy. You just know,
finally,
like,
Walking Buckley
the substance
dropped a wild
of a guy
thought
like
and
what
says
Islam
beats
versus a guy
Usman,
like
retirement
Charles.
might follow.
Yeah.
He argues double champ status, a GOAT win, and legacy complete leaves nothing
On the
left
other
to
hand,
prove.
Ilia
And here's the
Topuria
scary
brushed
part.
off
Buckley
suggestions
says
that he was
Islam isn't a
avoiding
natural
Arman
big
Sarukian,
welterweight,
responding
and
with
staying longer
sarcasm
could
rather
expose
than
cracks
concern.
nobody
He
has
framed
seen
Arman
yet,
as
which
someone who
brings us
had
back to that
opportunities
ending
but
I told you
failed to
about at the
follow
start.
through, even the sport's top fighters.
Who in the UFC or other promotions does this the best current time?
In the UFC, you look at Islam versus JDM. I was very impressed with Islam's feinting. There was one point, because I always say sometimes I overfeint, but that's good because they never know when it's coming. But Islam did that in his last fight with JDM. There was points he just was feinting like 12 times before he even threw a jab. This is later in the fight as well, so I was really impressed with that.
As the key factor in those exchanges.
If Arman ends up fighting with Islam, he needs to work on his judo. Arman needs to work on his judo.
Really? Why?
I guarantee you guys never realized that every time Islam took Arman down, it was judo.
That's not
Islam
Sambo?
can't take down Arman in wrestling. I guarantee you guys. Islam is a great wrestler, great judoka. Trust me, he knows judo. When I watch his clips, he can do judo very well.
But that's not his Sambo background?
No, that's his judo background.
What do I think is going to happen in the division? Let's talk about it. When I look at, especially the welterweight division, Islam being the champion, who do I think deserves it? Who do I think has earned it? I think Michael Morales for sure has earned it. Beating a guy like Sean Brady, being undefeated, finishing Sean Brady. I mean, what else more do you have to do? But we see the seeds planted. We see Islam planting the seeds of Usman should be the next guy. I mean, obviously they have the same manager. Obviously the manager planting seeds in his head of what he thinks should be. Do I think Usman is an easier matchup for him? Of course. The guy's fought one time in 3 years, and he's 1 in 3. I'm still ahead of you. Even though I lost my last 2 fights, I'm still 2-2. So you can talk, you can say whatever you want. You turned down a fight. You didn't want to fight. And I don't think it should earn you a title fight when you're saying no to fights. But that's my thing. You can call me a hater. I'm just looking at the division from a different lens, what I think, and who I think has earned it. That's my thoughts on that one. We'll see what happens next with them two. Who will get it? If it is Morales, I do think me and Usman make the most sense. Like I said, I've been wanting that fight, asking for the fight. We'll see if we get the fight.
I like that fight, you know? That's somebody who could wrestle back into Makhachev. That's somebody that I know personally could wrestle back into Makhachev. That's his forte. That's what Usman started with. It's his grappling background, and Usman's no pushover in the wrestling. I think he's better on the feet. I think he's bigger, he's longer, he's stronger, he has more experience fighting long fights on his feet as well and using his defensive wrestling like he did with rat face Kobe's bitch ass, you know? Or how he did with the other nut freaking Chasma, whatever his name is. You know, he's very good at fighting those guys. I actually thought he beat the 185-pound champion currently, Chasma, on like a 11-day notice. He just got out of the couch from eating whatever the he was eating, got on a flight, went over there, and beat him 2 out of 3 rounds.
The matchup is even wise.
I think this is the most dangerous fight for Makhachev at 170, man, with no doubt about it. You know, that's a big step up in competition, I think, from Jack Magdalena, which is phenomenal on the feet. I still think to this day right now has some of the best hands on the roster, and his wrestling defense isn't bad either. He's a good scrambler and stuff, but he's not on Usman's level in any way with the defensive power wrestlers. You know, Usman could wrestle defensively. I think this is one of the toughest fights for Makhachev right now. You know, I don't know if they're gonna want to take that one.
You already know that it's gonna be a hard time for Islam if Hamzat had a difficult time, right, trying to take down Usman. So with that being said, this will be one of the biggest fights that you can make at the welterweight division right now. So what's the hold up? Let's go ahead and run that up. So whoever win that, they can get up out of here. Because this is also my opinion. If Usman wins, right, he's one and done. He said he's moving up to 185 to go get that title against Hamzat for the rematch, right? Cool, bye-bye. If Islam wins, he said he's gonna hold it down for a long time, but I don't believe that. If Islam gets the fight that he wants, which is Usman, right? That means not only did you submit your name at lightweight over your brother Habib, but then you also got, you know, the double champ status, and then you also be the GOAT in Usman, right? So you just pulled the John Jones. What else is there to do? What else can he do, right? You be foolish to keep fighting, because to me, Islam is not a natural 170 fighter. He not. And that will get exposed, you know what I'm saying, if he fights a person like myself or Ian Gary or Morales.